Axelgard. Thanks for being on This Dream Is Yours.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So glad to have you here. And when I was thinking about this, you were the first person I thought about to have on it, because one of my dreams was to own fabulous art, to curate
Right.
wonderful pieces. And I've always wanted to be surrounded by wonderful art.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we met 24 years ago approximately when I bought one of your first pieces.
Yes.
And I've always wondered what's behind Jennifer. The person, Jennifer, the artist, all these other things that you do that are so wonderful, your charity work. And I wanted to dig into dreams.
Okay.
Because to me, that's really important. I feel like, and I don't know if you've experienced this, let me know if you have.
I have.
People stop dreaming with COVID.
Oh.
And I want to think, how can I help people get back into a cycle of dreaming, of thinking things are possible, coming out of anxiety and coming back into what's possible.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself first?
Okay. My name is Jennifer Johnson. I have been a metal sculptor for 35 years, and I work from my dreams. I create pieces after having these unbelievable, colorful dreams that remind me of a place or a time that I've had in my life or something that I've seen. And I work from there to create a piece. After I began to weld and create pieces, I was showing in a gallery within 6 months.
Wow.
Which is unheard of.
That is unheard of.
Unheard of. And I progressed to showing internationally and winning shows that were international competitions. My pieces have gone all over the world. I have quite a few public art pieces and large corporate pieces. And I have taught fine art at Sierra College. I've done just about everything I really have focused on so far in my career.
Well, I feel like you have pieces from $100 birdhouses to 300,000
Yep.
public pieces.
Yes.
So there's a wide range if someone's a collector
Yes, definitely.
that they can start collecting you and move their way up.
Yes, definitely. And I have collectors all over the world, and they're amazing people. You know, my collectors, I fall in love with. You know.
What's the furthest piece? Where have you sent the furthest piece?
Oh, let's see. I think the farthest is Paris. I have a couple pieces there.
Wonderful. And do you have a favorite piece that you've created?
Yeah, I always fall in love with the piece I'm working on.
At the time?
Yes.
It's kind of like a boyfriend?
Yes, sort of, yeah. Boy, yeah, that's a bad analogy. I've had a lot of boyfriends.
A lot of art, a lot of boyfriends.
A lot of art. I fall in love with the piece as I'm doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of putting my soul into the piece. And so I fall in love with it. And I could be working on one or two pieces at the same time and be in love with both of those.
Did you ever go to art school? Or
I did. I went to the California College of Arts and Crafts in Oakland.
Okay.
It was an amazing school, very competitive. And it was such an interesting school. Amazing, amazing teachers.
And I think I bought one of your pieces from a gallery that was in Sacramento that was it's not here any longer, but it was the Himovitz Gallery, the Michael Himovitz Gallery.
Yes.
And fabulous gallery.
Yeah, fabulous gallery. I've had pieces there, and Eccentric, the R Street Gallery, just all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you're dreaming, obviously not all dreams, I know your pieces, not all dreams are good dreams. Some dreams are kind of scary dreams. Some dreams are happy dreams. Some dreams are things for the future. But when you were a child, did you think you would be an artist? Was that a dream?
I knew from a very young age that I was going to be an artist. I had a grandparent that was an artist and a grandmother that taught art in the school system. So anytime that I was with her after school, I was immersed in art, and that's all I knew. So I didn't see anything else. I didn't see any other, path. It was always going to be art. But I didn't start doing metalwork until I was about 25-ish, 23 maybe. And I started this because I had a dream. And
do you remember the dream?
I do. It was the only dream I ever really have remembered in my whole life. But I was welding, and I was in a 2-story building looking out of a window down at myself, and I was welding a sculpture of a woman that was praying, and she was huge. She was massive. And the thing I remember most about this was the orange and red and the yellow sparks that flew through the air. And I was oblivious to it, but watching myself in this dream, it was sculpting. It was remarkable. It was exciting. It was colorful. I don't remember ever having a dream that was in color before.
Interesting.
It was really cool. And so I called my father and said, "You're not going to believe this. Let me tell you about my dream." And he said, "Come on down to the college and I'll introduce you around. You should take a class." And so I did. And that's kind of how it started. But it was all based on that one dream.
So it's interesting because a lot of times I think people confuse dreams and goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to have these goals to get here, or I have a dream to make $1 million,
Right.
or I have this. And what I'm more interested in is dreams like that, dreams that spark a curiosity, that excite you to take a path that you may not have taken, even though you were immersed in art, you weren't immersed in welding.
No.
And that whole vision that came from that, it's expanded in other ways. So I know you're a welder, but I know you have other things you do artistically. What about those?
Well, growing up, I always thought that I was going to be a singer as well, that I was going to go to LA and make it big and sing for Carol Burnett or something like that. I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't follow that path until I was an adult, well after I started the metalwork.
So what is your thought on dreams changing or having multiple dreams or things like that? I mean, because sometimes people get, something doesn't happen for them. Like
Right.
their dream that they have been focused on doesn't happen, but something else is put in their path.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that comes about. Talk to me about the singing.
I really think that dreams are maybe a subliminal message, something that there's a path that you know you need to go to, but you don't know maybe what that is or even how to get there. And I think the dreams are connecting our innermost thoughts and our fears and our desire to do amazing things in our life.
So why do you feel that people kind of stopped dreaming through this COVID process? Did you sense that?
I have
yourself?
sensed that. Not so much in myself. I think I really work hard at refilling what I call a well of creativity, a well of dreams and thoughts and feelings that I can derive things from. And I think that gives me more dreams.
How do you tap into that? Because I'm sure people watching will want to know, well, I haven't had a dream. And, because I feel like even myself, you get to working, especially through COVID, and you've got your head down and you're going for it. And then you pop up and you're like, where am I? What happened to me?
Well, I do that too, especially when I'm working. But I think you have to focus on doing things that are good for yourself, doing things that excite you or ignite you. I mean, like you can take a hike and you can go find an acorn that's, a 1/4 inch, just a baby or a feather or something that evokes a childlike feeling where you become that child when you find things like that.
So tapping into your inner child.
You tap into that, and that way you will always come out with a happier life.
When you're young, sometimes you have dreams. I mean, I know people who've dreamed of being a garbage truck driver when they were a kid and all these random dreams. And then you get older and you're like, why did I want to be a garbage truck driver? But I think there is no filter when you're younger. So there is no stopgap. Like you can't do that. There's no one saying you can't do that. If I want to be a garbage truck driver and I'm a lady, I'm going to be a garbage truck driver, right?
That's right.
There's nothing that says you can't do that.
Right.
And I think that's where we get in trouble with dreaming, is that all of a sudden the talk tracks from everybody else come in and we feel like we can't accomplish that.
I think that's basically fear or shame. I think people have been put down or put themselves down so much that it has stopped them from dreaming those big dreams because, I can't be a truck driver. I can't be a garbage woman, because I'm a woman and that's not socially acceptable. I think people stop themselves from doing some of that.
Do you find, I know you're a mother and I'm a mother, and do you find sometimes when you're listening to yourself that you're almost squashing your children's dreams in weird ways? Like, you're trying to build them up, but maybe you're also trying to steer them in a specific direction when that's your talk track to yourself.
Yes, definitely.
You want what's best for them in your mind, which may not be what ignites them or sparks them in their mind.
I try really hard not to do that. My parents did that with me. And that's when I came up with that sculpture that has my flying hearts, because I wanted that as a reminder that every single time I talk to my kids, I am giving them wings to go fly and be creative and do whatever makes them happy, heart and soul. I don't care what it is. They need to be happy to fulfill their own life. And so that flying heart symbol that I constantly am recreating,
I have 2 of those.
Comes from that.
Or 3 of those around the house here. So outdoors and inside.
It is my reminder not to ever dictate the direction that my kids go. And I may not be totally happy with the decisions they make, but I'm happy that they're fulfilled and having a good life.
So I'm going to take that to heart, because sometimes I think
It's tough.
It's hard. I go into dictate mode. Strong suggestions, right?
Right.
I strongly suggest.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to as a mother, because you want to save them. You want to stop them from hurting themselves.
They got to make their own mistakes.
Exactly. It's really difficult. But talk to me a little bit more about how you tap into that inner child, because I think that's the key to dreaming. And it doesn't, I don't feel like dreams have to be big dreams, but to find them, I think you have to be able to tap in.
Right. I agree. I think for me, I'm fascinated by nature and by people. And so I can do something as simple as go down to the mall and watch people interact with each other, families, little old man and a little old lady holding hands. Those things that just really pull on your heartstrings, and I love that. It's the same as going for a hike and finding, a little bird that fell out of a tree, or a beautiful stone in the river.
So it's almost slowing down to go fast.
Yes.
You have to slow down to go fast.
I see it as having a well. And if that well was always empty, you're never going to be happy, because you're not doing things for yourself and you're not refilling that well to pull strength from. And I think if our wells were full, the sky is limitless. I mean, there's nothing going to hold us down.
When you speak about, we might go off on a tangent here, but when you speak about filling your well, that's your responsibility.
It is.
Not somebody else's.
But you're going to derive dreams from that.
Right.
Being full.
Right. I think a lot of us expect someone else to fill our well, and we look for that,
happens.
And I think that doesn't happen.
Then you're just disappointed.
Yes, and I think you have to step back and really look at what makes your dreams come true. It's not someone else, but it's having your own well filled, be it through church and faith, or through nature and rocks and stones, and watching people and doing whatever brings it back in. It's like writing checks on an empty account. You can't be creative if you're writing checks and you're bouncing them all over the place.
And you can't be happy.
So you did a huge piece in Benicia.
Alameda.
Yes. That's it. Talk to me about that, because that's a pretty big thing. I don't know if that was a goal or a dream for you to have public art, but tell me about that.
It was a goal, not initially. It was something that, as I do my pieces, I start off with this little image in my head, like it's part of a jigsaw puzzle box, and I see things very small. But as I start creating, taking a piece with my hand and moving it to the table and welding it together is an extension of this box through my arm to my hand to put these pieces together. I always see them in my head tiny, because that puzzle box is only as big as my head is. And when I start creating, these pieces just end up huge sometimes. And I don't mean to, but I could just kind of give myself that freedom to create whatever I want. So as I started creating larger and larger pieces, it made me want to do some public art pieces. And that was kind of a fluke job, that another client called and said, "Would you like to do this piece?" And I said, "I would love to." And the piece ended up to be 3 Indians that were almost 40 feet tall and 3 boats that were similar to the old reed boats that the Indians used to go into the ocean with and fish for their communities.
Wow, that is so cool.
It was an amazing job to do. And I say job because it was a lot of hard work. And I think I almost killed myself a couple times in the process of working on something so massive. But, and it was technically challenging as well, because I had to do the pieces in 2 sections and then figure out how to get them back together again so that
So you had to
I could-
transport them.
so that I could transport in one piece.
Wow. So have you had since then, I mean, that was a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other dreams that are percolating in the back of your mind? And is there a dream that you haven't been able to get forward momentum on, that you're stuck trying to get that forward momentum?
I think for me right now, the dream is, it's still stuck in my head, but I need to move and push myself forward. Because if I am comfortable in my everyday life of what I'm doing, as far as creativity goes, then I'm not in the right place. I think I need to push myself farther, step out of the box a little bit, and find that dream spot where I'm creating something new and different. And so I'm always pushing myself to do something new. So something's coming. Something is brewing in my head, and I do dream about it.
Different medium,
No,
different place.
no, different style, different. In my dreams, I see textures and color,
Fabric.
but in steel. So whether I'm creating the fabric on the piece, it's going to be something that's very textural
Okay.
and something very large.
Any dreams outside of art?
Let's see. You know what? My biggest dream is to just have a happy and fulfilled life and to be around family and friends that feel the same.
And what's your fear surrounding that?
You know, I really don't hold on to those fears.
That's a good thing. A lot of people do, and that's what stops them from dreaming.
Right.
Is the fear that if they don't do it,
Yeah.
then they've failed.
I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing what I need to be doing. And my dreams have always told me that I'm going the right direction.
Do they ever tell you you're not?
No, they only when, I feel like I'm flying through the air and then I stop and I fall. Those are common dreams for me. but
Do you fall on your face or do you bounce back up?
Oh no, I just bounce back up again.
Okay.
But I think those are reminders to slow down a little bit and just pay attention.
Be present.
Be present in the moment.
That's hard for me.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for
But we
me.
really don't have control.
That's probably why it's a hard thing for me.
I mean, we have those dreams and those goals and things that you want to do, and you always want to push yourself. Mm-hmm. But the world has a way of saying no or saying yes or changing your idea of what your success is and what your goals are and what your dreams are.
So when you think of success, because everyone's definition of success is different.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Because wouldn't it be boring if it was just to get to this number or to do that? Like, I've never been driven by a number.
Yeah.
One of my dreams was to take my sons and their significant others and to go to Europe for 2 to 3 weeks and to stay in 5-star hotels and to have wonderful mom time
Yeah.
with my kids.
Have you done it yet?
I did. I did it in 2022 and it was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome. And my assistant was awesome. She kept my phone and I wasn't like texting everybody every 20 seconds and I was present and it was awesome. And I was present and, I was a little frustrated, honestly, towards the end of my dream because I felt like I didn't get, like in my mind, I had visualized these amazing, wonderful connection times with my kids where we had these deep conversations and they're like, oh,
Right.
mom. And I was like, oh, son, right? But it was a lot of everybody running around doing their own thing and then coming together at dinner or doing whatever. So I had a vision of my dream and it wasn't exactly the same, but it was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything, the way it worked out was perfect. So I think part of the takeaway of dreaming is knowing that they can change and they should change, right? They should change, they should develop. They can be smaller, they can be bigger. What would be your one takeaway for everybody watching about your thoughts on dreaming?
To put yourself in a good place so that you can have those dreams. You know, fulfill things that fill your well. Do things that make you happy. I mean, that could be something as simple as eating French cheese. You know, if that makes you happy, do it. Do it often, you know, and just enjoy your life.
And find your inner child.
Find your inner child.
Well, I know when I started collecting you, I found my inner artist.
That's
and
great.
my inner curator. And I probably have 20 pieces of yours now.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever stop because I just love you. And I'm so thankful that you're the first
you.
person on This Dream Is Yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.